Well, hi everybody. This is week 4 of our SST 200 class, and this is the class where you begin to move forward into the American colonies. And so there's a lot of information here that you really do need to review and you need to know, because the bulk of what we do in the extent of teaching at the upper levels of the elementary in social studies, it's a concentration on the beginnings of American history. I mean, our country has a very unique history. We are a nation born out of people that were dissatisfied living in a continent elsewhere, moving across a huge body of water, settling in an area that, although it was not inhabited, it was well underdeveloped. And then they put their Western innovations to work, and they developed this colonial system along the coastline of the United States, eastern United States. So from that evolves a new government form that has never been seen in the world, but since has been replicated by a number of countries. And so this is such a unique experience as far as a historical significant event. So we spend a lot of time at the elementary level of talking about the Pilgrims, of talking about explorers that preceded the Pilgrims, talking about the colonial expansion, 13 colonies along the ocean, moving slowly westward. And from here we're going to see, if you just follow the westward expansion geographically of the United States, you will begin to follow the historical development and the set of conflicts that occur during that development. So for today's podcast, where we're connecting the content to the classroom, I just wanted to bring your attention to a couple of really good sources here. First of all, we've been dealing with the current grade level content expectations, K8, GLICs, GLICkies, whatever people want to call them. You're familiar where to find them. But I do want you to know that the MDE, as of August 2015, released a set of proposed standards for K-12 social studies. Now, what those standards do, if you looked at them, and I'm not asking you to do that, I'm just asking you to be prepared for this. But if you were to look at them, they do mirror the GLICs, but they're broader. We're kind of putting ourselves in a position for what's going to come down as the Common Core social studies standards, whenever that may occur. And so the MDE has gotten out in front of that a little bit. It does mean that there's a little changes in what's taught in what grade level. That does not affect you for content knowledge purposes of this course for the MTTC. The knowledge is still important to know at all levels, and it doesn't matter where you're going to teach it. But I did want to bring you up to the knowledge of knowing that there's some new proposed standards. They'll go through a review process, and at some point they will be adopted. And those will be the standards then that you will refer to when writing your lesson plans for a social studies lesson. But inside the MDE website for social studies, you're going to find just some really great documents. So one of the things I wanted to do was to take you to some of those documents. So hold on while I open up this one called Grade-Specific Resources. Well, when you jump over to the grade-specific resources for Social Studies K-8, GLICs and Huskies, HSCE, High School Content Expectations, Huskies, you will see that in this resource page, they've done a really nice job of laying out for you some things. So if you were ever to have to write a lesson or to develop a unit of instruction in the social studies, and you wanted to do it at the kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, 6, 7, even grade 8, you have unit outlines for each of these. And the unit outlines are really quite nice. Notice the grade 3 resources here. You've got some lesson planning activities, some teacher notes, some techniques that you can use, vocabulary, concepts, and skills. We teach a lot of vocabulary, a lot of concepts, and a lot of skills. In fact, the skill that is the most important for students to learn is how to read charts. And in the social studies, we have lots of charts that they need to read. So I just wanted to show you this particular website, and I will give you the URL for it and you can find it. But this one has some really, really neat resources as an elementary teacher you want to know about. When you get into that methods course, this one's going to be something that's helpful for you. Now, the other link that I showed you happens to be what's called Social Studies Resources. And it is a repeat of some of the information that you saw on the previous website. Again, here is your kindergarten unit plans, but this is really nice. This unit planning worksheet, that will come in handy for you. But look at this, knowledge, vocabulary, concepts of skills, all by grade. So right now, you could actually be looking at these things, the knowledge, vocabulary, concept, skills by grade, as you're moving forward and learning about colonial America. I'm not going to tell you, but you just have to figure out which grade level to click on, and that's an additional resource to help you learn the material. And then when we talk about alignment resources, please don't bother with even knowing all of that. Just know that somebody really crazy with a love of taking standards from history, standards from economics, standards from geography, standards from political science, civics, sat down and looked at what's being taught or what the standards of what should be taught in Michigan, and they aligned it all with all of these different national standards from these 4 areas, and they get all excited about doing this, and they put a scope and sequence together. And it's one of the reasons I have a PhD in particularly this area of curriculum and instruction. I get into this stuff. Just be thankful there's people like me that make everything line up so that when you get a curriculum map or a pacing guide in a school district, it all meets these standards and you don't have to guess whether you are going to be teaching the standard or not. In here also are some general resources that you might want to look at down the road, and it's just a lot of really good stuff that we have available to us from here in the MDE. The Michigan Department of Ed does a lot of work, and this is just a social studies dedicated website. You're going to find the same kind of information on a language arts, science, and mathematics website, along with visual arts, performing arts, and physical education health. So as an elementary teacher, you have some great resources from the Michigan Department of Education. And so I hope this is helpful to you as you take a look at colonial America. How am I going to teach this? Where does it all come in? Well, the first thing is, let's learn the content that needs to be taught, and then refer to the Michigan Department of Education website. They are going to tell you at what point this is a benchmark that should be taught. So hope you're having a great time. I'm really pleased with the levels of performance that are being shown in the class. Keep up the good work. Keep growing. Okay? Keep growing. That's all part of our process. God bless.